Stat. I hope that the do now, the purpose of it, if you took it and really thought about what we were doing and looked into it, investigating, kind of gives you a better idea. Like I said, understanding what it is a very important part of what we're doing. Or else everything that we do from here on out is kind of like, I don't know, I'm just plugging in numbers. So take those type of investigations seriously, and we're going to keep talking about it and showing it in different light. When we get back from break, we're going to be doing more confidence intervals for the rest of the whole week. Confidence intervals, confidence intervals. Some of it will be practicing. Some of it will be adding another layer onto the assignment and so forth. So we're going to keep working on these. Stat A 9.1.2 Intro to confidence intervals, day 2. Again, take your notes. Some of you are still refusing to, and it's not surprising that when I see come the exam, people who are lost the most are the people who are not doing their notes, and I'm noticing that there's a very high hit rate of those people who are not taking notes and then completely lost. It doesn't mean you're going to be doing well, but something to note. So again, we're talking here about a confidence intervals. So and we're basing this, once again, we have our checks. So we have our inference check, which is still something that you must do. All right, and those inference checks are S, I, N. Remember, we want to make sure that our sample is random. We want to make sure that our sample N is less than 10% of the population. Oh, I guess less than or equal to, but we'll leave it as less than, of the population. Or independent, or infinite. I can also stand for infinite population. So if the population is infinite, all right, like you can, like flipping a coin. How many times can you flip a coin? Infinitely. So I could stand for infinite as well, independent. Because if we have an infinite population, then of course our N is always going to be less than 10%. And the last one is our normality check, which in this case, of course, when talking about it, is the success and failures condition. So N times P hat must be greater at least 10, and N times 1 minus P hat must be greater or equal to 10. Remember, these are observed one. So when we were doing today's activity, for example, and we did 100 samples, actually, that, I don't want to put it towards that because that activity was a lot different. So when we do this, we can say that the distribution, once again, is approximately normal, and the mean of the sampling distribution is, we're going to be using P hat, and the standard error of P hat, which is the standard deviation of P hat, is the square root of P hat 1 minus P hat over N. Now, I wrote it like this, so this just means standard error, because since we're using our estimate from our population, remember, technically we don't say, this is technically not the standard deviation, because since we're using P hat, this is the standard error. So sometimes you might see me use SE instead of the sigma notation because it's a standard error, not a standard deviation. The standard deviation means we know the population parameter. We don't know the population parameter. That's the whole point. So it's standard error. All right, now when we do this, and we've checked all these conditions, then we can create the interval. Now, the interval is, the way we calculate the interval, it is going to be, the interval is equal to, interval is the sample proportion plus or minus Z star, okay? Sometimes, I think in some of this it might say ZC, critical, ZC, I call it Z star, times the standard error of p hat, okay? I know you're looking, but wait, what was this Z star? So right now, when we're doing 95% confidence,
Good morning, all students going to the USS Constitution field trip, please report to the cafeteria at this time. All ESL 1 and 2 students going on the field trip, please report to the cafeteria at this time. Thank you.
So right now we're using 95% confidence. That's my confidence level, 95%. So we're going to use a Z star. The Z star is about, and for today, this week, we're going to use two standard deviations. That's what we did yesterday, right? We added 2 standard deviations and we subtract 2 standard deviations. So we did the number 2. When we get back from break, we will do it correctly because it isn't 2, it's 1.96. That's the more appropriate number. But for now, today, we're going to say that's about 2, okay? So as such, my interval can be written as p hat plus or minus 2 times the square root of p hat 1 minus p hat over n. And that's my confidence interval, all right? When I do that, I'm going to get parentheses, I'm going to get some number A, comma, parentheses, some number B. I'm going to get 2 numbers. That's kind of like the numbers when we got yesterday when it was like 0.0066 and 0.0214. That's my confidence interval. So the plus or minus is we're going to minus it to get to the A, and we're going to plus it to get to the B. The smaller number always goes to the left, right? We add, and right now we're using the number 2. We're doing 2 standard deviations. Subtracting 2 standard deviation or standard errors. Sorry, see, I told you I'm gonna flub it up and sometimes say standard deviation, and I might say that, but it's fine. It's again the correct word. 2 standard errors. I'm gonna subtract 2 standard errors and I'm gonna add 2 standard errors, and that's for 95% confidence. When we get back, and I keep saying this because as we learn, what is Z star? What is this critical Z star for 90% confidence? 80% confidence, 98% confidence, 99% confidence. We're going to learn those new values when we get back from break. That's actually our first activity when we get back from Monday, is learning. All we're going to do on that Monday, or what our main goal on Monday when we get back from break is, what are the other Z stars? So, you know, why is this Z star 1.96 and what are the other ones? And then we can interpret the interval. That's our final step. Interpret the interval. And in the interval, of course, is we are blank percent confident that blank is between blank and blank. Okay? We are blank percent confident that blank is between blank and blank. What are these blanks? So that's what we're gonna try to make sure that we understand. This statement that I wrote right here is actually true for all types of inference, all statistics, all parameters. The only parameter that we're going to be studying in this course that we have time for is sample proportions, or the true proportion. That's the only parameter we're studying here. But it could be the true mean, it could be a regression lines. There's a lot of different other statistics that we can study, that if you take a more advanced statistics course in college, you will study those advanced different ones of inference. The only input, I'm giving you at least that one inference, and my goal is that for you, let you have a solid understanding of doing the inference with just one type of statistic so that you can roll that over in your future ones. The first one here is the true proportion. Okay, the true proportion. Okay, now that is our parameter, and that is technically is all the answer. Now, yesterday, when your homework, it wasn't technically the true proportion; it was the true mean. You weren't looking at the interval that it gave you wasn't about a proportion; it was about a mean. So instead of saying proportion, you're supposed to say mean. Population of the population. Okay, so whoever the population is between A and B. Yesterday I noted that as lower boundary and upper boundary. Now it's just A and B. Okay? Yes.
So yesterday's work,
Oh.
right? Would that be the A and B?
Yes. And the problem is that in that one notes, and I kind of didn't say, and I said it verbally, but I had it locked down as an OE statement. It would be the true mean. So you would, instead of saying the true proportion, you would say the true mean because you were talking about the mean GPAs. So your answer when you write that sentence, say, we are not whatever confidence level it said, confident that the true mean, when I say proportion, what is the proportion of? So this is the true mean GPA. That's what we were studying yesterday. The true mean GPA. This one would be the true proportion of what? So what is the true proportion of? It's their variable. All right. So confidence level meaning. So when I say where, for this purposes, i.e., 95% confidence. What does that mean? So when we say 95% confidence, what it really means is about 95% of all random samples of the given size, of the given sample size, n, will capture the blank. And this is for us the true proportion, ... And I guess I should have a little ... here as well. So what is it that we're trying to capture? Yes. Given sample size. So of sample size of 20, of sample size of 50. So whatever the sample size is, they're saying that's how many of that specific sample size. So it is kind of important to note what the sample size is inside there. And so you just say of sample size 20, of sample size 50. So whatever you mentioned, the sample size. So of that sample size, how many of those intervals are going to capture the parameter? About how many? And this statement right here is basically the entire thing that we were doing in the do now. As you saw, what percentage of the statements captured it? And I'll put a little right in here. Because if we're doing a 99% confidence level, and we say we are 99% confident, what we're saying when we say that statement is about 99% of all random samples of sample size will capture the true proportion. And I got to finish this. In the interval. So about 95% will capture the true proportion in the interval. Samples. And that's it. So what is confidence level versus the confidence interval are two different things, all right? Confidence level is saying about how many of those intervals are going to capture, and in the sentence, this sentence up here is the big one right here. And that's the big one. So what you're going to do in terms of the rest of the activity for your homework is you're going to go about and create the interval and interpret and do all that stuff for one example. You're going to do another simulation. And this time what the homework is about is you're going to be flipping Hershey's. Okay, so let me just right here. So the idea is if you throw a Hershey in the air, what is the chance that it lands face up, like flat? Perfect. It lands right on the bottom. All right. Versus on its side. So that we're not going to actually do it. We're going to simulate what that looks like. All right. I had meant to. I was trying to go out and I was going to actually give you some Hershey's to actually do this in real life. I'll try to do that when we get back from break. Have a little bit more fun or activity of actually seeing it in practice. But right here, we're going to simulate it. So I promise I will try to do this one or something similar with this. I have another one with more candy that will be evolved. The nice thing about these activities is that we can throw some candies and actually do it with the real population stuff. So I'll try to do the Hershey's and we'll try to actually do this activity and see how our answers from our simulation are similar or differ from the actual practice. That's what